of all go to my Charlie brothers and sisters, and those are the Ghanaians.
Okay.
I'll just touch briefly on what was in the news recently, or should I say, about the information going around on social media, and it's to do with the upgrade of the Kotoka International Airport in Ghana. It's so encouraging when you hear things like this, because part of the problems or the challenges we have in Africa is sustainability of any infrastructure. So hearing this news, it's, for me, very, very encouraging. And recently I saw a program whereby part of the upgrade is that you can't use anybody else's passport to go through the gates. I'm not sure whether you saw that.
Oh, yes, yeah.
The minister actually tried it.
Yes.
This is just too mind-blowing. There's no way somebody, it's been said in the past, whereby people will travel with another person's documents and get away with it. In this instance, there's nothing like that. The airport was so clean, and I just thought to myself, they didn't work for the old airport to go into a state of disrepair before they decided to upgrade. And another aspect is that these people have their own airline. They have the national carrier. And Nigeria, that's meant to be the giant of Africa, doesn't have any.
Yeah. Well done to them.
Yes, exactly. And I could remember way back, Ghana was struggling. And I think the beginning of the change was when Lieutenant Colonel Rawlings was at the helm of affairs, when he was the president of Ghana.
Yeah.
So they've just been improving, that a lot of people have, when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about Nigerians now, have moved their businesses to Ghana, or at least have business interests in Ghana. So well done, Ghana, well done to them.
Yes.
And another country I'll probably be going to is Swaziland.
Oh, nice.
A few days ago, we read about Swaziland King renaming the country Eswatini. And from what I read, it's like it's Africa's last remaining absolute monarchy, and which is a very good idea in a way, because they gained their independence 50 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and the explanation, well, coming from the king, was that everywhere the people of Swaziland go, or should I say then, at the time, everywhere they went, it was like people would refer to them as Switzerland. I'm not sure whether to say that, wow, being referred to as Switzerland is a good thing. But then again, I also recognize the fact that they want their own, or, they want their own identity, just like every other country in Nigeria. So, but then again, he's faced a lot of backlash, in terms of his leadership, because he's been criticized in the past by human rights activists, banning political parties as discriminating against him. And here's a man with 15 wives, even though his predecessor had...
Did you say 15 wives?
15, yeah.
Oh,
and he's just a young man. He recently turned 50.
No.
So by the time he turned 60, maybe we're talking about 40 wives.
Wow.
Well, to be honest with you, that's not really the issue here. That's his own personal matter.
Yeah.
The thing is, to me, well, it was renamed Wednesday, just a few days ago. The thing is, renaming a country is no big deal. Yes, you'd like to have your own identity, but moving forward, what would you do that would make a difference to say that now we're no longer under the British, well, they've never been under the British rule in the last 50 years, but is there going to be a positive outcome in all of this? Everybody, every country, wanted their independence, they gained their independence, but then again, you look back and think, should the colonial masters have been at the helm of affairs? Should they still be there? So it's not just renaming a country, but it's to focus on your people, how to ensure that your people, they feel the difference, not just in the name, in so many things that they're introducing in order to improve the nation in terms of the economy. Okay. In terms of security of the company, in terms of the security of the country. Yeah. So, I think I just have a few more minutes left. I just want to quickly go back. Yeah, we have about 3 minutes. Country, which is Nigeria, because as they say, charity begins at home. President recently was quoted to have said, when he came for the Commonwealth meeting, that about the economy, we have a very young population. The population is estimated conservatively to be 180 million. I'm sure we're more than that, maybe going up to 200. This is and then he said more than 60% of the population is below 30. Yeah, under the age of 30. A lot of them haven't been to school, and they are claiming that Nigeria is an oil-producing country. Therefore, they should sit and do nothing and get housing, healthcare, education free. Okay, maybe he's touched on a raw nerve. Maybe he has said the truth. But there is a way that you see some saying things which a lot of people would understand, and at the same time that you are not denigrating your country. I mean, this is coming all the way from Nigeria to England here and saying, making statements. It's encouraging at all. I think for me, it kind of looks bad on him. It's like a father saying, my child is lazy, my child doesn't go to school, but you haven't given your child the means to be able to do that. Not everyone in Nigeria can afford to be educated. And I think I'm hearing that from his generation. There was free education. There was free healthcare. So really, Nigeria was, developed enough or had good processes. That should be the same for those who are under the age of 30 now. There should be access to free education and free healthcare. Exactly. And the thing is, even though we know in Nigeria there's this entitlement syndrome, I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that. However, a nation is built on the spirit of its people, not by the government. And there's so many people out there, the youth, they're very creative. Promote the voluntary sector. There was a time I wrote an article on this, and it was published in the Nation newspaper in Nigeria. That elders move aside and let the younger generation take over. Let's have the breath of fresh air. Promote the voluntary sector. A lot of people are sitting around because there's nothing to do. To England here talking about it. What was it thinking about? Did you think he was trying to, impress the audience or what? At the expense of your own people. So, and this is what people are talking about with regards to our president. Yes, he's fighting corruption. You can't do it all. You don't know it all. Get the younger generation on board. Set up a committee for them and bring in the ideas and push the nation forward. For example, you have an information minister who is 70 years old or thereabout. He doesn't even know how to engage with people. We have a lot of problems which we are creating for ourselves in the United States. They're fighting with natural disasters. In Nigeria, or should I say Africa, we're not fighting. Well, let me concentrate on Nigeria because that's the now. Natural disasters, we're fighting with fellow human beings who will do everything to, bring down the others, who will empower their own people. And these same people talking, the so-called elite, they educate their children abroad. And then you go to the same place, the Western world, and put down your own people.
We have like 30 seconds.
Do have there's just going to be a renewal of the mindset where Africans are concerned.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We'll keep talking about it. Yeah. And maybe we'll have a whole debate about what we can do. But then what can we do over here? How can we have an impact on those over there? Probably a question for us to think about.
I know. But we've always had diaspora meetings all the time. It's one thing for you to talk.
Exactly.
It's another thing for you to walk the talk.
Exactly.
And for you to be able to walk the talk, they have to give you the platform.
Yes.
There's no point in talking if you don't have the enabling platform in order for you to realize all what you're saying, in order for you to implement all the ideas.
I'm going to have to go to the news. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Get well.
Toxic levels of the nerve agent used to poison a former spy and his daughter may still be present in parts of Salisbury. Sergei and Yulia Skripal are thought to have been targeted with a small amount of the deadly substance. Experts are due to start decontamination work at 9 locations in the city. Former UN chemical weapons inspector Jerry Smith says they have a massive task ahead.
Liquids don't move, so it's not as if it's going to travel and blow in the air, but it may well have soaked into some of the ground, some of the material. And they have to remove all that, take that away, and to destroy that 100%.
A woman has died after a fire at a residential unit for adults with learning disabilities in North East London. More than 70 firefighters were called to Chingford earlier. Barclays says UK regulators plan to fine its chief executive following an investigation into claims he tried to unmask a whistleblower in 2016. City watchdogs claim Jess Staley broke conduct rules, but the bank is stressing that there's no suggestion he shouldn't carry on in his role. It's being recommended the minimum wage rises by more than £1, with claims more than 1 in 3 working parents can't afford regular meals. The Living Wage Foundation claims 2 out of 5 have also fallen behind on bills. The current legal minimum is £7.83 for people aged 25 and over. Single mum Caroline Barr says when she was on the minimum wage, it was tough.
I was having to buy reduced food just to make sure that we had enough food. I would have to count to the pennies to make sure that we had enough money to buy a pint of milk.
In sport, Chelsea are now 5 points off the Premier League's top 4 after a 2-1 victory at Burnley. Southampton missed the chance to significantly boost their chances of avoiding relegation. It's after a goalless draw at Leicester. And Ariana Grande has released No Tears Left to Cry, her first new music since the Manchester Arena bombing. That's the latest. I'm Kieran Kaur.
More news, more information. This is ABN Travel News.
This is the travel news for you, brought to you by Travel for Media. So M25 Junction 2, moderate disruption between 15 and 3 hours delay. There was a congestion alert at M25 anti-clockwise between Junction 2 and A1. And M4 Junction 4, minor disruption up to 15 minutes delay. And this is because there was a congestion alert, M4 eastbound at the Junction 4. And A414 North Orbital Road, accident involving 3 vehicles between London roundabout and A1081 Shenley Lane. So one lane is closed, so do take note if you're heading that way. And M25 Junction 25 in A10 Enfield, Junction 26, A121 Waterham Abbey. The incident is now cleared. So it should be all good. And also A3212 Westminster area Commonwealth event is taking place. So Westminster area is closed, and that's around Parkmore westbound between Regent Street, St James's and St James's Street. And that is closed, and that has been closed from 9 a.m. from the 14th of April and until 6 a.m. on the 22nd of April. So it should reopen on Sunday. And A41 Gloucester Place, Westminster northbound junction of Marylebone Road, there's a water main, a burst water main there, and that is NW1 stroke W1U northbound, north of the junction, Marylebone Road, surface water due to a burst water main. And yes, until the rails, disruption to southern services expected until 10 a.m. today, and this is because there's a shortage of trains available to operate across southern network due to yesterday's disruption on the network. So there's some trains that have been cancelled and to run they're running a revised schedule, and this will continue until 10 a.m. this morning. And I think that is it for the rail, and on the underground, all services are good, and parts of suspended overground service. And that is the travel news brought to you by Travel for Media. And you are listening to The Discourse with me, Esther Alade, this morning. And as I said, we're talking about immigration today. And the Windrush generation. I have a solicitor coming in, well, an immigration lawyer, who's going to be able to talk to us and really break it down in layman terms in regards to what's really going on. And if anybody's been affected or going through any immigration issues, you are more than welcome to call in. And if you want us to discuss anything offline, you can text us privately offline. The numbers to call is 0208 670 7300 or 0208 191 7078. And the WhatsApp number is 07887 475 940. And you can follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's ABN Radio UK. And yeah, we also go live. We're actually live on YouTube now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can go to ABN Radio UK on our YouTube. And that is The Discourse. I'm just going to go on a quick break, and once I come back, yeah.
I'm checking Twitter now. 1 or 2 sending from my dream grant, you know. This is like nation, they may not want to do Suckaholics. I love the beats though. Ready to be palm bed. Let me drop it, beat. Yeah. This is just beginning. Whoopin' crap must give me 2060. I'm still winning.
We play your genre of music, from contemporary gospel, high life, hip life, Afro-pop, Afrobeats, on London's premier Afropolitan station.
ABN Radio.
London!
London's Afropolitan radio station.
My friend gave me a knife because I wanted pride. There was an incident. I got stabbed. I realized I don't need to pick up that knife. I decided to just focus on football. It was tough. Now, I'm on the path to achieve my dream. I've been knife-free for a year. Visit knifefree.co.uk.
Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy newsy current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart of the family ripped apart. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred or respect. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife and save a life. Quentin Slowly, supporting all family and young people.
Twisted it. I will be on our foresight, no. Will be on our foresight, no. I will be on the slicing, no. Be on the slicing, no. When enough of shave, yes, yeah. And one echo. Send one echo. See, I know kind of day. Where I buy, where I get money to pay. No food for me for today. Tino, me could kiss it get send me the fear. I shall never see a phone in and then I'm phone in you could kiss it get say the fear. I shall never see a phone in and then I'm phone in yeah. Let me show you how to tingle. Life very simple. Different kind of people. Yeah. Bibi na me tongue. Ya Simon Chame. Me Jeme wa enji. Papa minye. Anopa me tongue. Evia me tongue. Anacho me tongue. Dana me tongue sa. Me Jeme wa enji. Papa minye. You could disikatro. Same pepe. Same pepe. Kwacho me pepe. I'm no Bible, no bonsa. Obobane be man o mankwa. I won't pass you on the fufu. We bury a chain on me. We drop. Sans washing. We could easy get through. Send it back here. Shame busi a phone. And me now phone. Then go easy get through. Say it back here. Shame busi a phone. And me now phone. Yeah. Let me show you how to tingle. Life very simple. Different kind of people. Simple. Different kind of people. Show you how to tingle. Me baby, you twisted it. Hey, Jesus, life very simple. Different than the last one. Yo, DJ, check out the song.
Hit it.
One for Mama Oyibo. This one for Mama Ejiro. This one for Uncle Lere. This one for Surulere. You already know. Now my mama soup with the sweet me pass. You already know. Now my mama still they give me jazz. You know, back in the day as a little boy, all I just wanted was little toys. Nowadays me, I'm a superstar, and all I've been thinking is supercars, but I love it today. Oh yeah, with it hustle on the way. Love it today. Oh yeah, with the over on the bless. Me, oh. Everywhere me I gallant. All of my people them gallant. Baby I shake your balance. You gallant. Now baby now give me the warrant. Make I put you for my palace. Make I give you all the balance. My palace, your palace.
See this love of mine. His love is so divine, yeah. And he hustle every day to make his baby shine. Sit back in the day when our love was new. You love it, they can't wait, so I know it's true. So now I love in the balance. I love in the gallant. This one it no be a joke. So wonders, Papa, God,
with the hustle on the day. Love it today. With the over on the bless. Me, oh. Everywhere me I gallant. All of my people them gallant. Baby I shake your balance. You gallant. Now baby now give me the warrant. Make I put you for my palace. Make I give you all the balance. My palace, your palace. Put you on Balenciagas.
Put me in Balenciagas.
Louis and Gucci and Pradas. I like to go say to your fathers. Me and your brother be brothers. Say
the only one I want, the only one I need, the only thing that ever made my life complete. Oh yeah.
Hustle on the pay. Love it today. Jehovah on the bless. Everywhere me I gallant. All of my people them gallant. Baby I shake your balance. You gallant. Baby now give me the warrant. Make I put you for my palace. Make I give you all the balance. My palace, your palace.
Morning, this is Friday the 20th. Oh, have I got the date wrong? Yeah, it's Friday the 20th of April. And you're listening to the Discourse. And this morning we're talking about immigration and the Windrush. And I now have Sophie Rancharan on the phone with me. Morning, Sophie.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm okay. I've got a spring cold, so if my voice sounds croaky, that's why.
That's okay. We can hear you clearly. So yes, we sort of met recently. You're part of the people who are organising 70 years anniversary for the Windrush.
That's correct, yes.
And I'm like, okay, the topic is on Windrush and immigration this Friday. Tell us what. First of all, let's know a little bit about you.
Sure.
And then we'll go on to the event that's coming up.
No problem. So we met. Are we allowed to say where we met?
No, we'll just say who you are. So you're an accomplished film producer.
So, I produce films. I'm based in Nottingham. I'm also a film programmer at the Broadway Cinema in Nottingham as well.
Yeah.
I deal with the public programme and the diversity offering. So a lot of the marginalised film programme I deal with, so BME, disability, and I work with the community to actually get their voice heard in the programme, and I work events around key major events during the year, so Black History Month, for example, LGBT History Month, and that sort of thing. So that's my background, really.
Okay. And then in regards to the initiative, first of all, what are your thoughts in regards to what's actually happening now with the Windrush generation?
I think the response from government, to be honest, it's a little too late. I think Lammy's speech was powerful and necessarily unapologetic. And just to put context into this, my parents are from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And Nottingham has a huge Windrush community here. And parents literally left their children in the Caribbean to come and seek work, to build this country up. And their children followed their parents after they settled down. They were invited here. They were coming to the motherland, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I have many friends and family who've been through this. And just to put context onto this, when you go to Jamaica, there is still, King's House that's there. There's a huge portrait of Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth is still classed as the Queen of Jamaica, literally.
Okay.
And has a representation on the island. So to actually have this whole Windrush fiasco happening and nobody knows anything, it's just incredibly distressing and baffling to me. Never mind talking about the landing cards, how the government can rely on, how anyone can rely on these landing cards as proof of entry, and to have those destroyed, not even digitalised.
That's true.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I can't even comprehend how any government administration can actually say that.
Yeah. It's embarrassing, I think, and I think the point you've made in terms of we're now in a digital age. You would get someone in to do, to update the system with the paperwork, and if anything, actually maybe they should have tried to contact these people or put an initiative in place to say, look, maybe we're about to delete these records. If you're affected by this, get in contact with us. I'm not sure if they did do anything like that.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not clear on the details, but maybe people aren't actually there. So you know, to have Commonwealth citizens come here as part of the Great Britain, you know, to not even have records about who's been invited, who's actually been here. I mean, that's a huge migration. It's a policy.
But not only that, they came here to assist the UK.
Exactly.
They came here to help rebuild the UK, and you just discard their information just like that?
Just like that. And, you know, major businesses are here in Nottingham, like Boots, Raleigh and John Players.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it was never hidden. It wasn't, you know, it was clear. We've celebrated Windrush for years.
Yes.
Everybody knows about the Windrush, and, you know, I just find it baffling.
If anything, that's what you learn in terms of Black history, actually.
Oh,
there's a lot of focus on the Windrush.
I know. It's celebrated as this quaint, you know, occasion of this boat that brought people over.
Yes.
You know, with their grips and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre to me. But to have, you know, an apology from Theresa May, you know, with all the leaders of the Commonwealth, this week, wasn't it? It happened. I mean,
yeah.
And they don't even know the figures. They don't know the numbers. You know, Lammy was sort of asking for these figures and numbers, and the politician couldn't even say how many her department had deported. You know, it's not enough. It really isn't enough. You know, people have missed out on key family occasions.
Yep.
Gone over for family funerals and can't come back, or they've not been able to go to family funerals and so forth.
Yeah.
Work. People have paid taxes over the years because they've worked.
They've contributed.
Paid taxes.
Yeah.
Being refused services that, in essence, they've paid for.
Yeah.
You know, they've not come here on a handout. They've come here to help. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm just, it's confusing. I just don't know. I think the moral of the story is, though.
Yeah.
The moral of the story, I think, is that we need to not rely on these politicians so much. We need to get our house in order.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit controversial in this moment, but to me, looking at this story, you know, they don't really have our best interest at heart, really.
Yeah.
We've really got to get our papers in order, get ourselves in order, and take a moral from the story.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can say.
Because I wondered why people didn't do it. Because, I don't know. Yeah. It's
a friend about this, actually, and you know, anecdotally, there's kind of like, you know, stories about people just genuinely believing they were part of the Great British Empire, so they didn't need to. You know, because there is this mixed, confused message about the connection with the Commonwealth and Great Britain.
Okay.
And it's just not that clear, you know. People genuinely thought, we're part of the motherland, we're coming here to Great Britain to help because they're part of the Commonwealth.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the Windrush 70 that you're organising, or you're part of the organisers, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So in Nottingham, I hope your listeners know where we are. We're in the Midlands, East Midlands.
Yeah.
And we have a huge Windrush community here. So people came and worked at the major industries like Raleigh, Boots and Players, and just generally contributed. So we're having celebrations in June, because June marks the 70th year of the Windrush. Apparently the first boat came to England on the 22nd of June. So 1948, I think that was. So we're having a few things over the weekend to mark the occasion. We're going to have a boat party on our river.
Nice.
So with the Good Times crew and a great community organisation called Nubian Link. So we're going to have an afternoon river cruise. We're going to have period music, but also mix it up with all the best of the Windrush music, Caribbean, reggae, calypso, and all that sort of thing. We're going to have a tea party for our elders. That will be on the 23rd of June.
Okay.
And we're going to have film screenings with archive footage and really nice film programs to really celebrate that era and have an intergenerational space.
Okay.
So and elders can come together and share the memories.
Oh, nice. It all sounds like a whole load of fun.
A load of fun. We know how to party here.
And this has been supported, but it's got the NHS written on it. Your poster, NHS England.
Okay, so there is a national movement with Windrush.
Okay.
And we're kind of looking at the regional, localised regional aspect of that.
Oh, right.
So our key partners are Tum Tum Housing, the New Art Exchange, Broadway Cinema. So there's a lot still to plan.
Okay.
We do have there's a national Windrush 70 page and website. And we're dealing with Windrush 70 knots. So that's Windrush 70 NOTTS. So if you wanted more information about the boat party and so forth, you can find us on Facebook at Windrush 70 knots.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm just going to introduce my guest in the studio, Dayo Fadina. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not too bad.
Fantastic. I don't know if you caught some of what Sophie was saying.
I did, indeed.
So he's our legal expert. So he'll be able to at least break it down in layman terms. Can you just maybe give us a little summary so that we can end the call with Sophie in regards to what is actually going on?
Oh, thank you very much, Esther. Good morning. The situation right now, as far as what's been going on in the last 3-4 days to do with the Windrush situation is quite sad, really, and embarrassing to not just the government that is responsible for this, but for all the people this very particular situation has affected. You see, the issue at this point in time is to do with the draconian, insensitive, cruel immigration rules and regulations that were introduced by Theresa May when she was Home Secretary 2012. Now, I remember I was on a program some 2 years ago, and I forewarned that the fact that Theresa May is now the Prime Minister, that would not make life easier at all for immigrants. And that's what's actually been playing out right now. You see, in the first place, why, for the life of me, I cannot just understand why a Prime Minister or even the Home Secretary, why they would have pushed through these rules and regulations introduced in 2012 and not have foreseen the consequences of these rules affecting thousands, not just the Windrush generation, but thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of other immigrants. The excuse being given so far is the fact that they decided to destroy records in the archives to do with this to do with the Windrush generation, who have lived in this country for about 40, 50 years, and who have paid their due, really, worked in this, schooled in this country, worked in this country, done their best for this country, and then all of a sudden the Home Office decided to get rid of all records. It's sad, and and a very, very unfortunate time for the UK. And in this day and age, in a country like the UK, for this to be happening, in a place where we've always believed that there are procedures, there are rules of law, and there are things that you need to actually put in place properly before introducing policies and rules, is very, very sad indeed.
Yeah, I think that's what Sophie also echoed earlier on, that in this day and age, you'd think that they would have done something digitally. At least, because I thought maybe there was a rule or law that says you have to destroy people's records after a certain time.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Is that why they've done that?
Well, the rule is not particularly very clear.
Okay.
To do with destruction of documents. What the situation is when a government department or a public authority has held records for so many years, and they feel that, well, these records are of no use any longer. Fair enough. They could be destroyed. But even before destroying records these days, I mean, the technology is so brilliant these days, where you could store most of these documents, digitally, and why that was not done, beggars belief. I just don't understand what was going on in the minds of the Home Office at that point when they decided to destroy these records about 8 years ago. There was a situation where I think in the Guardian 2-3 days ago, there was an ex-employee of the Home Office who shed a little bit of light on this, and what this ex-employee communicated was the fact that he challenged the managers then who wanted to destroy these documents. Like, look, why is it the case that you want to destroy these documents? What if in case in the future we need to actually fall back on these documents to ascertain the identity of the people involved regarding these documents? Or is the case that maybe we have no other records to be able to confirm identity? What if in case in the future this should happen? What do we then do? But the managers of the Home Office then, who are moving to another office, overruled this employees' concerns and decided to go ahead to destroy these documents, which again, I don't just, it's so incredible.
Okay, I'm going to put it back. Thank you for that to you, Sophie. Now, so if you just finalise for us in regards to the events that's taking place, despite all that's going on, we're still going to celebrate the Windrush. And yeah, so if you give more information once again, and maybe a website or that people can go on.
Sure. So there's a national website called Windrush 70 that people can do a quick Google search for. And then for the activities that we're planning here in Nottingham, there's the Windrush 70 Nottingham celebrations, and the Facebook link for that is Windrush 70 Notts, Notts. So let's celebrate. I mean, it's what it is. Everybody's baffled, but we can still celebrate the achievements of our elders. And recognise that. So yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing.
Thank you to your guest for his insightful comments as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Sophie. Speak to you soon.
One of the main reasons I carried the knife was I didn't want to feel weak. One time, a car pulled up and the guys jumped me. After that, I just wanted revenge. One evening outside the guy's house, I was just sat there thinking, do I do this? I have to be prepared to do life. I took another path, and that led me into mixed martial arts. It's really helped me overcome self-doubt. I'm knife free since 2015. Visit knifefree.co.uk.
Wondering where we are off to? Well, from the 1st of May 2018, ABN TV will be moving from Sky Channel 235 to Sky Channel 195. ABN TV is still available on Virgin TV Channel 842. ABN TV, your favorite black broadcaster. Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy news, current affairs, served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family.
Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred, it's about staying alive. Drop that knife, save your life.
Come on, keep up records. You don't need to be told off. Bako, mienu, miensa, come on. Medicine and Casa. Baba Rico. Woo! Come on. You don't need to be told off. Listen. You do everything, no. You do everything. And love be poison, no. In a month. Yes, I'm in Evalanda. It's in the Bata Belenda. So what's my phone and I wash it and the musica. So I am German, I said, them back and my feature, but when the pen home, my son comes up. Baby, what's up? Oh, upon the loudest stroke, and I said,
So welcome back to the Discourse with me this morning, Esther Alade. And in the studio, I have Dayo Fadina. Am I saying that right?
Dayo Fadina, yes.
Yeah. I have a habit of saying people's name wrong sometimes, but so bear with me. So we're discussing immigration and Windrush generation. So if you want to call in, the number to call is 0208-670-7300 or 0208-191-7078 or 07887-475-940. We're also live on YouTube, so you can watch and connect and comment. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, ABN Radio UK, and put your comments down for us. So earlier on, you kind of gave us a brief outline of what's actually going on. So I just want to know, what is the state of play right now? I know that there's been a few apologies, and they're trying to rectify, well, it seems, it comes across like they're trying to rectify what's happened. So we are where we are. So they should not have destroyed the paperwork. We know that that came from someone quite senior. They haven't actually said who authorized that. And I guess our questions is, why was this not digitally archived somewhere? Because we have a lot of things that we digitally archive. Why would that be different from immigration in terms of you tracking? It's part of history, right?
Indeed.
They could have actually scanned that and saved it somewhere. But okay, that wasn't done. And we were speaking about a bus that was going around in 2013. So do you think they knew what they were doing? Things were destroyed 2010, and then 2013 you've got this bus going around and you're doing a call to action that if you're in the UK legally, contact us, we can rectify things for you. But then how is that possible? You've actually destroyed my paperwork.
Indeed. Thank you, Esther.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, we are where we are today because of the utter, carelessness, and I would even, want to use the word negligence of the Home Office in destroying all these papers to do with, thousands of people who have been living in this country who are deemed before the destruction of these papers to be British citizens.
Yeah.
Now, we are where we are today, but the fact that we do not have records of so many of these people at this point in time, I think what people should be looking at very, very clearly, and openly, is one, if it's the case that you've been in this country for 30, 40, 50 years, and you are in the situation where you feel that your papers, the Home Office has now made you understand the fact that they regard you as an illegal, although they've apologized for the so-called mistake they claim to have made.
Yeah.
What you need to be looking at would be all your records to do with schooling, your primary school, your high school, but probably your university if you went to university, your working records, your tax records, medical.
But I thought they'll be able to do that through national insurance. If you have a national insurance, shouldn't that prove that you've been here for a certain amount of time?
Working, schooling, and all that. If you could put together as many documents as possible covering this period, I see no reason why you should not be able to, make a request, because in fact, I don't believe anybody should be paying for any application regarding this matter, because normally with the Home Office, you need to actually pay through your nose to get your applications through to the Home Office. But in this instance, I feel that if anything, the Home Office should be paying very huge compensation to all the immigrants concerned for for the hell and the stress they put them through to date. So, I mean, if you have, these documents I mentioned earlier, and put together as many years of these documents as possible, you should be able to at least make a very, very strong case with the Home Office.
Have you had any cases that you've had to deal with that was not part of the Windrush, but of somebody who's been here for a certain amount of years?
Yes, indeed, I have so many, and I'm actually talking out of experience. Regarding so many of this kind of applications, there are so many people from the Commonwealth countries who more or less fall within this category of the Windrush generation, and there are people who have been in this country for 30 years, 20 years, and who could possibly actually make an application for leave to remain in the UK. And I would advise such people that even when the rules were introduced in 2012, there were so many areas that the Home Secretary then, Theresa May, had to contend with and to deal with. There was a case, I think the European Court of Justice case, a human rights case, which made it very, very clear. It was a Belgian case called the case of Zambrano, which stated clearly that if a Belgian citizen, if a child is a child who was a Belgian citizen, this very particular child whose mom had no leave to remain, the case made it very clear that so long as this child is a Belgian citizen, that lady who had no leave to remain in Belgium
automatically gets it.
Yes. So that was that case. So and because it was a European case. Yeah. The fact that we are still part of the EU and also part of the European Convention on Human Rights and Freedoms. Yeah. The Secretary of State had no choice then but to then change those rules to fit what she wanted to do. Because she had no choice. Yeah. But what she then did at that time in 2012 was, in the past we used to actually have a rule called the 14-year rule, where if you've lived in this country for 14 years or more, and so long as you could prove that you've been in this country for the last 14 years and you have no criminal records, you could then make an application for indefinite leave to remain.
So if you have a criminal record, you couldn't?
You couldn't at that time. Well, even what's happened now is Theresa May what she did in 2012 was she cancelled that 14-year rule. The 14-year rule, which went, I mean, we had this 14-year rule for well over about 30, 40 years. Yeah. But she decided to, cancel out that 14-year rule, then introduce new rules. Okay. Now, the new rules she introduced, one of those rules to do with the 20-year rule. She now introduced what is called the 20-year rule. Now, this 20-year rule, you need to show that you've been in this country for so many years.
Okay, for 20 years.
For 20 years. And you also need to show that you have, again, that you are conducive to public good.
What is conducive to what do you mean by that?
That you've not committed a crime, or you're not going to be of any risk to society. Okay. And if you could then put together all these papers, the Home Office, you would then have to pay a very hefty Home Office fee of well over about £1,000 now to make this application. Okay. And if you are then lucky that this application is granted, you would only just be granted 2.5 years.
Of indefinite leave?
Limited leave, not indefinite anymore.
A limited leave?
Limited leave of 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And before the end of the 2.5 years, you then need to renew again.
And then you pay again.
Pay again in another 2.5 years. Then, so you do this 2.5 years.
So each time is application £1,000.
Well, it's more than £1,000 now. The madness about many of these applications, and this is why I feel that it's not just to do with the Windrush situation.
Yes.
The unfairness and the cruelty, towards the Windrush generation. The Home Office policies to do with all immigrants, particularly to do with people who are vulnerable, who do not have the money to pay the Home Office fee. They just decide to start introducing all these, exorbitant fees where people would then have to pay for staying in the UK. That situation does not apply to EU citizens.
So they don't have to pay to go.
They only have to pay about £65-70.
To apply for the same thing we are applying for.
Yes, but as far as non-EU immigrants are concerned, if you are to make an application for indefinite leave to remain, in fact, indefinite leave to remain application is about £2,400.
No way.
Limited leave to remain application is more than £1,000 now.
So it almost seems a little bit racist.
It is actually. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I've always made the case that many immigration rules and regulations, well, immigration in itself.
Yeah.
When you are saying that somebody, because that human being is an immigrant, that you're going to be treating that human being differently. To either a British citizen or EU citizen, that in itself is discriminatory and, to some extent racist to some extent.
So even the fact that we're part of the Commonwealth does not even... Because you would think that would make it a little bit more better that, part of the Commonwealth.
Well, even within the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the situation to do with the Windrush situation right now, that the people who are concerned and involved with the problem going on right now with the Windrush generation, could you imagine if these people were Australians or New Zealanders or Canadians? I don't think they would have gone through what most of the Caribbeans are going through right now. So even within the Commonwealth, there's
prejudice.
There's prejudice. I mean, you got the Caucasian Commonwealth citizens, and you also got the African, Asian, and all the Commonwealth citizens. So they are not really treated equally. The picture being painted by the government today. I mean, they're having the Commonwealth, meeting in the UK that we're all equal. That's not the case at all. We are not. There's a very, very big difference. You would never, ever come across... I mean, there are situations where they pick up immigrants all over the place.
They have vans and they just go around.
Just pick them up.
And they mostly pick up black people.
Exactly. But you would never hear of stories where the immigration office moves into an office or moves into a resident area, picking up Australians or picking up New Zealanders. That never happened. I mean, I've never actually read of such stories at all. But it's mainly Africans, Caribbeans,
But
Asians.
do you think it does happen, but we don't know about it because we're in this community?
Well, the point is, we read papers.
Do they say that in the news, that national news, that the police goes around picking up people? I don't.
Oh yeah, it's normally in the news. In fact,
because I know of WhatsApp messages that people send around.
Yeah, exactly that. You see, they normally do it, and it's very common these days, Esther. The situation to do with, take for instance, detentions, deportations.
Detention centers.
And detention centers, deportation centers.
Yeah.
The majority, overwhelming majority of people who are in these detention centers, and sometimes prisons, the overwhelming majority are Africans, Asians, Caribbeans, not Australians. There are so many Australians who are overstaying in this country. So many New Zealanders who are overstaying in this country.
Yeah.
They don't slam them in detention centers.
That's true.
So I mean, coming back to what you actually mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a racist environment, really. And you see, it's one thing for Theresa May to be apologizing.
Yes.
She's apologizing because she's been caught out. they would have continued with this if the Guardian did not actually make a very strong case of the fact that what you are doing is unfair.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have continued. I mean, for the life of me, why would any Home Secretary, when she was Home Secretary, 2012, 2013, why it was so cruel and so inhumane, right? For you to be driving a bus all through the streets of London and pronouncing to everybody that if you are illegal, if you've not sorted out your papers, you will be sent back home. What kind of mindset is that? It borders on. It's as if it's reminiscent of what Hitler would be doing.
It's funny because that's what the papers describe it as, that it's very hostile.
Very hostile.
That word.
And why would you want to do that to your fellow human beings? After all these immigrants, whether they got problems with their renewing their papers or staying in the UK, as far as these people are concerned, they are human beings like any other person with basic human rights. You do not just pick on people. The Windrush situation right now, it's when I think of it, I then kind of wonder that, look, is it the case that, well, as far as the UK is concerned, that veneer of justice, veneer of fairness, and to want to do right, is it the case that the whole thing is skewed somewhat for this to be happening in this day and age in the UK? Even if you want to get rid of immigrants, or you want to actually monitor your borders, do you have to go to that length of destroying documents, driving vans all over London?
Okay, apparently she's not to blame for the van. Theresa May was not to blame for the go home or face arrest vans, former advisor said. The then Home Secretary was on holiday apparently when the much criticised van in 2013 toured the UK. She ordered the withdrawal when she returned. Nick Thimothy said she killed off the scheme, but then the damage had already been done.
Exactly. Well, if it would then depend on what we mean by she's not to be blamed. Look, you are the Home.
She would have known about it.
You are the Home Secretary, for heaven's sake. The buck stops with you as the Home Secretary.
Yeah.
Anything to be done in your name, right? Whether you like it or not, as the Home Secretary.
Yeah.
You need to take responsibility for it. I remember 2004, Esther. There was a very big issue to do with immigration when Tony Blair was still in power. I'm not sure whether you remember Beverly Hughes. She was, I think, the Home Office Home Secretary at that time under Tony Blair.
Okay.
So there was a big issue to do with immigration. I think to do with people being released or something. I can't remember the exact situation then. But what happened then was Theresa May, I think she was a shadow Home Secretary then, and she then pronounced quite clearly in Parliament, and it was all over the news, that because of the fact that she messed up with rules to do with the immigration rules and regulations and not doing things properly, and not owning up to the fact that she did things wrongly, that she has no reason to still remain with the Home Office. She even forced her to resign. That woman resigned. This was
Beverly had to resign.
She had to resign then. So if it's the case that you are the shadow Home Secretary then, and you force somebody to resign, and you are not doing the same, your Home Secretary is not actually doing the same. Well, I'm not saying Theresa May should resign, but that Home Secretary, look, she was responsible for all this in the sense that on our watch
this happened. Yeah.
That same Home Secretary should resign, because that was what Theresa May, pressed for in 2004. Beverly Hughes had to resign. So why not her Home Secretary?
Okay, let's go on a quick break and then we'll come back and continue.
ABN Radio, home of Afrobeats.
Oh man, the 90s. So cool. Remember this banging tune? Jump on the tram, catch it up. Grab a sandwich, jump it. My Nancy plays the trumpet. Dun, 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 dun.
You can't totally recall the 90s. Like if you had PPI in a loan, credit card or mortgage, for example. Luckily, we don't have to. Many PPI providers now have online checking tools. Search FCA PPI for more info.
Do it now!
The Discourse on ABN Radio, engaging our community with discerning conversation.
Join me, Esther Alade, on The Discourse, where we will be redefining perspectives with authentic analysis.
Join The Discourse from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ABN Radio.
This Friday and every Friday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy news current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart of the family ripped apart. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred or respect. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife and save a life. Quentin Slowly, supporting all family and young people.
She's standing in Bambade. I'm in a coffee tea. Outside Reggie I'm Mr. Florian Person. Come give me love. Come give me love. Come give me love, baby. All day who shadow and give me a one shot shadow and give me a Baby, don't you mess with my love, yeah. Oda yana yanguru, my dear. Baby, won't put your back on me, won't put your me, dear. I don't you not to mess my love, baby. Show me the mirror, I say, honey. Well, I say, come give me love, come give me love, come give me love, hey. You have a man, a man, a man, baby. Fabio, Winty, me darling, no Winty, sweetie, me darling, no Winty, sweetie, sweetie, sunshine, we need me, I swims, I'll do your way.
This is ABN Radio, Afrocentric, Cosmopolitan. We are London's Afropolitan station. ABN Radio.
London!
London's premier Afropolitan station.
Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great tunes every Sunday evening with Bright on Mixpiration, a blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. This and every Sunday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
Work it, work it, work it, work it.
Wondering where we are off to? Well, from the 1st of May 2018, ABN TV will be moving from Sky Channel 235 to Sky Channel 195. ABN TV is still available on Virgin TV Channel 842. ABN TV, your favorite black broadcaster.
ABN Radio. ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station.
Parts of Salisbury, where it's thought toxic levels of a nerve agent may still be present. They believe 9 hotspots could contain the chemical used to target a former Russian spy. It's reported the EU has comprehensively rejected the UK's plans for avoiding a hard border with Ireland. The Daily Telegraph says the government's proposals were examined by officials in Brussels this week, who decided none of them would work. Yesterday, the Environment Secretary Michael Gove said things can't stay as they are now if the UK leaves the customs union as planned.
Well, we want to have trade across the island of Ireland and indeed between Britain and the EU that has as little friction as possible. When you have different rules and different currencies on either side of these borders, then it can never be entirely frictionless.
A woman has died after a fire at a residential unit for adults with learning disabilities. It happened in northeast London this morning. Barclays chief executive is facing a fine after regulators found he tried to identify a whistleblower in 2016. The bank insists there's no suggestion he shouldn't carry on in the role. A decision on who should succeed the Queen as head of the Commonwealth could be announced later after leaders of the 53 member states have met in Windsor. A Sky Data poll has found 44% of British people want Prince Charles to take over. Yesterday, Her Majesty expressed her hope that her son would follow in her footsteps. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's completely behind the Queen.
Very much agree with the wishes of Her Majesty that the Prince of Wales be the next head of the Commonwealth.
And in sport, Lance Armstrong says he wants to move forward with his life after settling a long-standing lawsuit for far less than what was being sought. The disgraced cyclist has agreed to pay former team sponsors a combined £3.5 million. It could have cost him £71 million. That's the latest. I'm Kieran Kaur.
More news, more information. This is ABN Travel News.
My friend gave me a knife because I wanted pride. And instantly I got stabbed. I realised I don't need to pick up that knife. I decided to just focus on football. It was tough. Now I'm on the path to achieve my dream. I've been knife-free for a year. Visit knifefree.co.uk. My friend gave me a knife because I wanted pride. There was an incident. I got stabbed. I realised I don't need to pick up that knife. I decided to just focus on football. It was tough. Now I'm on the path to achieve my dream. I've been knife-free for a year. visit knifefree.co.uk.
Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy newsy current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred. It's about staying alive. Drop that knife. Save your life.
You're listening to The Discourse with me, Esther Alade. Today is Friday, the 20th of April. And yeah, it's a beautiful day outside. Yes, it's hot, hot, hot. Yesterday was beautiful. So if you have nothing planned, I suggest you just get out and enjoy the sunshine, because apparently next week it's going to all flip on us and get back to the old cold UK that we know. But this morning we're talking about immigration and the Windrush generation. And in the studio with me I have Dio for dinner, who is a lawyer. He knows his stuff in terms of immigration law, in human rights as well. He's also a human rights lawyer. He graduated from the University of London and attended the College of Law in Guildford. He's worked with the Crown Prosecution Service and immigration law firm before establishing his own company, which is Ferdinand and Associates Immigration and Human Rights Law Firm in the UK. Dio writes and speaks regularly on immigration law and human rights issues. He's interested in philosophy, history, theatre, playing yen sax. Interesting. You tell me what a yen sax is, and jazz. He also talks and writes frequently on personal development, life challenges, changes, and problems. You are so welcome to The Discourse this morning. Now, if you want to join the conversation, you can call us on 0208 670 7300 or 0208 191 7078, or you can call a WhatsApp number on 07887 475 940. You can send us a voice note if the lines are busy, and we can play your voice note. So if you don't want to call, but you can send a voice note instead. You can follow us on our social media platforms, which is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's ABN Radio UK, and we're also streaming live right now on YouTube, so you can catch us on YouTube. It's ABN Radio UK. So Mr. Ferdinand, you are so welcome. We were talking about Windrush before the break, and you have years of experience, I can see here. What is a yen sax, by the way? What is a yen sax?
Oh no, I play the sax.
Oh, so why playing?
Maybe when
the typo, like yen sax.
I play the sax.
Okay, the saxophone. Okay, but there's different types, right? There's the bass. Is there? No. What's the different types of sax?
You got the smaller one, and you also got the bigger one.
Yeah, which one?
I play the smaller one.
Okay. How long have you played that for?
Well, I just mess around actually. I've been doing it for at least about 5-6 years now.
Okay, lovely. So you are also a human rights lawyer. So with the case that we're talking about, there's definitely a human rights case here, right? Because if people have been denied healthcare, because we know within the next 5-7 years, NHS have introduced that you have to show your ID. Because they don't want people coming from other countries to get free medical on the NHS, which I think that's reasonable, that's fair, but it's the way people have been treated.
Yes.
In regards to, okay, if you don't have it, we're not going to treat you. It's becoming a bit like America.
Yes.
But if somebody, in regards to the Windrush people we're talking about, or Windrush case rather, and anyone who's been here over 30 years or more. Earlier on, you were talking about the 20-year rule. So before there was a 14-year rule, but now it's a 20-year rule. But you have to prove that you've been here for over 20 years, and thereafter then pay a 1,000+ application fee to apply for a limited leave to remain, not an indefinite leave,
just limited.
A limited one, and then that's only for 2 years.
Well, 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
And
okay.
then you then have to. Before the end of that 2.5 years, you would then have to apply for further leave to remain again, another 2.5 years. So you do this 2.5 years 4 times.
Yeah.
After 10 years, you could then, that is if you're still standing
and
alive, you could then apply, you would then at least be given the opportunity to apply for indefinite leave to remain.
Okay.
So could you imagine somebody who has been in this country for about 20 years?
Yes.
And now that person has been able to prove the 20 years of residence in the UK. Then that person would then have to wait for another 10 years. So making 30 before you could then apply for indefinite leave to remain. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And there's no reason why Theresa May, why she abolished that 14-year rule. That 14-year rule was quite testant, and it was on for so many years.
Yeah.
You know. Coming back to the Windrush situation and to do with the issues you mentioned, to do with medical and other benefits. Now, of course, the Home Office or the UK has every reason and every right to be able to want to protect the National Health Service.
Yeah.
And they also have every reason to try to prevent anybody who is not entitled to the service, to get that service. But you see, the way they've gone about carrying out all this, draconian measures, it is very, very concerning, considerably concerning. Because you see, the fear of immigration right now amongst so many of the Afro-Caribbean community, and the fact that if these days, if you go to your GP or you go to the hospital, and maybe you have a serious problem, and what normally happens these days is some of these NHS officers and even some GPs, they get in touch with the police that we feel this person has not got any papers.
Oh, wow.
And before that person realizes what's going on, the person is taken to the detention center. Now, that will scare away so many people from even wanting to approach the NHS or to approach the hospital. Now, let's imagine this scenario where, take for instance, somebody has got a very, very serious disease, an immigrant, maybe an overstayer. Maybe a good example is, take for instance, if you got HIV and you need treatment, right? But because of the fact that Home Office is now threatening you big time, that if you, they've seen it happening, they've seen so many people being picked up, that if I should approach the hospital right now or approach my GP, it's most likely I could be picked up and detained. That person will not go.
Okay.
And there are so many of such people on the ground right now, with all sorts of, maybe a disease or illness or cancer, where they are so scared to, come forward for treatment just because of this draconian rule that because you happen to be an immigrant, we don't really want to regard you as a full human being. And as far as we are concerned, you cannot take advantage of the NHS because of the fact that, look, even if you're going to die. That's what that's what
so
it
is that an human rights issue?
It is actually. Yeah. It is. That person has that right to not suffer punishment, not be treated inhumanely, not to be tortured anyway in terms of maybe you're going through a very serious illness, that person also has that right, to life. Now, just because of your policy of immigrants you cannot access the NHS, right? Those rights are being breached left, right, center. There was a situation, I'm not sure whether was it last week or so, where this lady, Nancy Motsomo or something, from South Africa.
Oh, and then they tried to deport her, but they deported her to Nigeria?
No.
Is that somebody else?
She was detained. With her husband.
Okay, yes.
After living in this country for about 10 years.
What?
And they had problems, and I think the problems most of the problems they were having had to do with Home Office mistakes left, right, center.
Okay.
But they decided to detain the couple. Now, whilst Nancy was in detention, she fell ill.
Okay.
Right? And I think she collapsed somewhere.
Okay.
And one of the immigration officers was telling her to her face that, look, you are feigning this, you are faking this.
Okay, you didn't believe.
I don't believe that you're not well.
Yeah.
And if it's going to take me, if it's going to take a point where I'm going to be shackling you, I'm dragging you to the airplane.
No.
I will, that you're faking this, right? Now, they called in a nurse to assess the situation.
Yeah.
And that nurse advised the immigration officer that going by the condition of this woman, she's not fit to remain in detention. Release her.
Yeah.
The immigration officer overruled nurse's professional opinion. And some days after she was released, and I think about 4 or 5 days after, that woman collapsed and died.
No.
But she was in detention for a while.
So who's now responsible for that?
Well, you see, now, whatever the Home Office would want to actually say, as far as that kind of case is concerned, there was a professional nurse who gave a professional opinion that this woman is not fit to remain in detention. Why on earth would any decent, any reasonable human being still want to detain that kind of woman?
But was that in their policy? Because you can't detain someone, but if there's something wrong medically, you can't overrule that and still detain somebody.
Within the remit of administrative law, right? Every public officer, right, has that unfettered discretion to be able to say, you know what, look, I think this case, this is exceptional. We need to actually let this woman go. She's not well, But again, this particular immigration officer decided to ignore advice. Again, callous, draconian. Why? Why would you want to do that? And you are even threatening this one that if it takes me dragging you to the plane, I would. Why? I mean,
threatening behavior.
Very, very threatening behavior. I mean, the ombudsman. I think the prisons and probation ombudsman. They've the Home Office. They've decided to. They've promised that they'll be looking into this matter. But honestly, I won't hold my breath because
no one's going to be held accountable.
Yeah, exactly, because there have been so many people who have died in detention in the past.
But does this more happen to people who are part of the Commonwealth as opposed to, well, not should I say Commonwealth, but maybe from African countries as opposed to, like you mentioned, Canada, Australia?
Well, honestly, I could be. Look, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But. In my experience of running an immigration practice, immigration and human rights practice, I've not come across Australians or New Zealanders dying in detention. Well, maybe they are. I don't know, but they are not common.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. And many of the people who are always in detention are always Caucasians. Always. Majority, I would say possibly about 80% of them would be would be African, Caribbeans, Asians. Right? And so how do we then explain that? How do we explain a situation where last week, one of this Windrush situation to do with this gentleman, Anthony, I can't remember his surname now, who came into this country, I think, at the age of 9 in 1965.
Is this Dexter Bristol you're talking about, the one that died of depression?
Well, that's a different
one. That's another one? Wow.
Right? It was picked up.
Yeah.
I think he received a letter from the Home Office saying, after living in this country for more than, he came in at the age of 9. The man is now about 60 or 61.
But how did he manage to get a letter from the Home Office? How did they track him down if they destroyed everything?
I think he tried to apply, if I remember correctly, he tried to apply for a job or something, and they checked records and they were telling him that, well, your name, we cannot find anything on our records. Look, they could not find anything on their records because they had destroyed those records.
Yes.
Right?
Conveniently.
And he was picked, well, he was then told to be signing on. The guy then started signing on.
Yeah.
Twice he was picked up and sent into detention after living in this country for so many years. The man has never left this country in the past.
Yeah.
Slammed into detention, released again, slammed into detention again, to a point where the guy's got children in this country. He's got grandchildren in this country, but they were not ready to even listen to him. They were going on about the fact that you are illegal. that slammed into detention like a common criminal. And this is happening to hundreds, if not thousands or so many immigrants in this country.
Okay, so if anyone's been affected or family members have been affected, what is the way forward?
Well, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, if I were those people who have been affected, I would sue the Home Office and sue this country for, look, you don't just slam people in prison or in a detention center, especially if there is some evidence to show that this person is not really illegal. They are always saying that the onus is on you to show us that you are not that you're not illegal. Yeah. Right. And when people then start putting together all the documents they could lay hands on to be able to prove they're being legal, all these documents are always not enough. That, well, you provided documents covering the last, let's take for instance, 20 years. Yeah. Right. Why is that not enough? That the last, you cannot account for whether you were in this country 2006 or 2014, and for that reason, we don't believe that you satisfy that 20-year rule. No way. Coming up with one reason after the other, after you provided about.
And bearing in mind, some of these people don't even have a passport.
They don't.
So where would they go between 2000 and the years that are missing for them to not feel that it's reasonable evidence?
Well, there's always this suspicion, this paranoia and suspicion on the part of the Home Office that maybe they left and they came back again illegally. Okay. Maybe they came in with fake papers and others, and for that reason, we don't believe that you are.
But then they have every right to think that, because we know that does happen.
Okay. They have every right to believe that. Yeah. Yes. But you see, this gentleman I just mentioned. Yeah. I mean, there was clear evidence of the fact that this man has always lived in this country. His children, his grandchildren, right? Places he had worked, right? And they still believe that it was illegal.
How is that possible when you've paid national insurance, you pay taxes, you have a national insurance number, you're part of the health in terms of you registered with a doctor and everything else? Is that not sufficient? And even where you live, if you've lived somewhere for a particular amount of years.
Well, they will still want to come up with one good reason or the other why they feel that you do not satisfy that very particular rule to do with the 20-year rule. Another rule that people normally also, are not aware of. Really. There's a few of them. I mean, there's a situation where when you're married, or you have even if you're not married, if you have a partner, you've lived together with this partner who is British for so many years, you might be able to make an application for leave to remain. Okay. But again, they make life difficult for the British partner or the partner who is going definitely leave to remain in the country. Most often than not, they will be telling this partner that, well, look, as far as we are concerned, you belong to the same cultural background as your husband. Maybe you're both Nigerian, and for that reason, we see no reason why
you can't go back.
The wife cannot follow her husband back to Nigeria. Again, very, very cruel. Why would a person who's been established in this country for so many years need to go back? You got a situation. Well, there are also situations where if you have a British child and you've lived together with your partner, or you have very, very strong parental affiliation and responsibility to your child, and that child is British, oh yes, you could easily make an application for leave to remain, even if you've overstayed in this country. There are situations where even if you've not spent 20 years in this country, maybe 10, 12, 13 years, but you could show very, very good reason why there would be, they normally call it significant obstacles, why you cannot settle back home. You could still make an application, but again, they will make sure that the significant obstacles you are putting forth, that they are not satisfied with it. But I mean, there are still avenues where you could still make applications, but it would then depend on how strong your application is, how good the representation is, how profound the rules and regulations any lawyer who is going to be representing that client, puts together on behalf of that client.
So in the case of Bristol, so Dexter Bristol, whose mum has a British passport, and then he came here at the age of 8, but then passed away due to depression because he lost his job. They were asking him to submit information. But now, unfortunately, he's passed away. What's going to happen?
Well, again, honestly, a public authority, a public officer within a very particular confine called the Home Office, right? He made them understand the fact that, look, I am British. I've lived here all my life. My mom was British.
Yeah,
right?
but why didn't he, may his soul rest in peace, but why didn't he apply?
Because he believed all his life that he's British.
But if he
because you see, in between 1948 and 1971, right? Anybody who came from the Caribbean, the Windrush generation, right, and even some parts of Africa to Asia, in that period, the moment you come in, the fact that the country you're coming from was still part of the British Empire before independence and others, you automatically the people who came in to work are the people who actually came into work were automatically British. And for that reason, what would then happen is there was an act, the Immigration Act 1971, that was introduced, which actually stated that everybody who came in before that very particular act, Immigration Act 1971, is deemed to have indefinite leave to remain or being a British citizen. And indeed, this man would fall within that kind of category. Would fall within that category of coming in the period before that very particular act was introduced, and he thought he was British until he started having all these problems. Not all British citizens travel. There are some British citizens in this country who have never been out of this country, who do not have passports.
True.
So if that should apply to people who are born in this country and who had never traveled, this man also had every reason to actually to say, look, I've never traveled because I had no need to travel, but I've always believed that I'm a British person because I fall within that period of 1948 and 1971.
Okay.
That act came into effect in 1973. You know, so of course, I mean, may his soul rest in peace, yes, but until he started facing problems and trouble, he thought he was British.
So I was just thinking, why didn't his mum just step in that? Because automatically, if your mother is British, you should technically get it as well, shouldn't you?
You mean his mum?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that could have been his proof of, like, oh, my mum's British.
I'm not sure whether the mum is alive.
She is, yeah.
Oh, she is.
It's just all a little bit complicated.
But the point was, he was going through stress and depression.
Yeah.
Because of the actions of the Home
pressures
Office.
that are being put on him.
Any public officer that puts you under that kind of pressure, right? Look, a public officer is meant to help and not harm.
Yeah.
It's meant to assist and not attack and assail another human being.
Yeah.
And for him to have gone through all that kind of stress and depression due to their problem, losing documents, for instance, or destroying documents.
Yeah.
I see no reason why you would not have any good case. Why you would not have a good case of negligence? They at the time he was living, they owed him that duty of care. And the moment he fell into depression, where he started having a psychiatric problem, and depression, you know, they should have at least took notice of that very particular mental illness.
Yeah.
Of course, they could sue.
Definitely. It is really, really sad. So for anyone that's going through the issue now, what would be your advice? I know there's a helpline that they've been encouraging people to call, and hopefully they will resolve it in that way. But earlier on you mentioned that people need to make sure that they get all their documents in order. So bills, whatever it might be, to show that you've been in this country for a certain amount of time. And anyone else who's not part of this Windrush situation that might be in any immigration issue, what would your advice be to them?
Well, as far as I know, they are there are hundreds of thousands of immigrants out there who more or less fall, even if they're not if their situation is not within the remit of the Windrush generation, they've been living in this country for so many years. Scared of the immigration office, not wanting to actually make any application. And I'm thinking that, well, I don't really want to be picked up. The advice I would give them is this. There are a few things you could do as a person who has been overstaying in this country. Initially, I think I mentioned the partner marriage situation where
if you've been here and you have a partner, you've not committed any criminal offense and you've overstayed, and your partner is predicated in this country, established in this country, working, you could make an application for leave. So and you don't have to be married.
You don't have to be married, but you need to show that you've lived together with this partner for at least 2 years. Right? Or marriage. Either, right? Marriage, you might not have to show the 2 years, but it's always good to at least show a strong relationship. Even if you're married and those 2 years, you could make an application for leave to remain. If you've been with your partner, even if you've not lived together for 2 years, but you now have a child who is British, and again you are conducive to public good, not committed any criminal offense, you could make an application. Right? There are situations where if children who are born in this country and whose parents are illegal, right? After 10 years, that child could apply for citizenship. And the moment that child obtains citizenship, and so long as that child is still a minor, and we have a parent or parents taking care of that child, you could apply for leave to remain with your British child in the UK.
But do you have to show that you're working in some shape or form? Because it's difficult to prove that if you're illegal and yet you're working.
Well, the point is, as far as these applications are concerned, it would be good if that person is working.
We'll go on a quick break. Just hold on to that thought. We'll come back after this.
We play your genre of music from contemporary gospel, high life, hip life, Afro pop, Afro beats on London's premier Afropolitan station.
No one plays it better on the radio than us. ABN Radio, home of Afro beats.
Oh man, the knot is so bling. Remember this huge tune? Do your silly bike trick. Is it cricket? We're loving it, loving it, loving it. We're troubling sidekicks. Oh, have a cup of tea.
We can't totally recall the noughties, like if you had PPI and a loan, credit card or mortgage, for example. Luckily, we don't have to. Many PPI providers now have online checking tools. Search FCA PPI for more info.
Do it now!
Mixpiration with Bright every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. is just fun. It's exciting. It's a mix of contemporary R&B and pop gospel music right here on ABN Radio. Enjoy great tunes every Sunday evening with Bright on Mixpiration. A blend of great inspiring songs just for your Sunday evening relaxation. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. This and every Sunday on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan radio station. Tune in to the new ABN Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. The London City Show has evolved into an all-new breakfast show with sizzling slices of juicy news current affairs served with junior jumbo-sized convos on issues you should be aware of. What did I just say? The ABN Breakfast Show, the Afropolitan breakfast you can't afford to miss.
Consider that life wasted. Consider the heart ripped out of a family. Consider the potential never realized. Are these the things you consider when you carry a knife? It's not about street cred, it's about staying alive. Drop that knife, save your life.
Marius is on the beat.
It's okay, it's okay. For me, every day and night, I hustle, I pray. For me, I hustle non-stop just to get bucks up. For me, every day and night, I hustle, I pray. For me, I hustle non-stop just to get bucks up.
Ask bravo, life is a journey. Wanting me to go ready for the journey. Let happen, curry. Why won't dolly? No time like curry, cause one day poverty isn't funny. I dey hustle 8 days in a week. Oh, shit, why you feeling so weak? I know they wash you like detergent. I want to spend on my girl, cause I don't need a new chick. Whoa. Igboro Rary man, would you miss it lancing? Cause the time it's many man. Man, will be 50, but I know many men. Never do suppose, cause he ain't winning, man. Dream more, but one is sleepless. But go to Olua in time of distress. Like Oluma Rock, my God, day, Gagaraka, one the bamboo. Poverty is on a Saraka for me. Every day and night, I hustle, I pray. Olua Saraka for me. I hustle non-stop just to get boxed up. Olua Saraka for me. Every day and night, I hustle, I pray. Olua Saraka for me. I hustle non-stop just to get boxed up.
They been tell me say I no go make 'em, but right now see as I don't make 'em. Yeah, right now I'm counting my paper. Every day I'm making my paper. Yeah. They been tell me say I no go far, but right now see as I don't go far. Yeah, tell them they no fi catch up. No matter what them do, they no fi catch up. Yeah. All thanks to Jehovah. Right now then they feel me all over. Yeah, no more feelings over. Every day I get happy. Yeah. All thanks to Jehovah. Right now then they feel me all over. Yeah, no more feeling sober. Now every day I do happy. Every day and night I hustle, I pray. Olua Saraka for me. I hustle non-stop just to get boxed up. Olua Saraka for me. Every day and night I hustle, I pray. Olua Saraka for me. I hustle non-stop just to get boxed up.
Excuse me. Welcome back to the Discourse. I don't know, I'll come back.
Shadow Records.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, welcome back to the Discourse. Sorry about that. My voice just went funny for a little second there. So you're listening to a Discourse, social, political and cultural talk show on ABN Radio, London's Afropolitan station. This morning we've been talking to Dayo Fadina, and he's been very good in terms of very informative, actually, telling us about the immigration laws, what's been happening, especially with the Windrush generation, and giving really good advice, a little few pointers here and there in regards to what to do if you have overstayed in any way, and how you can, get your papers in order. Really and truly. And I didn't know this. I thought the law was that when you're 14 years, you automatically get it. But then that was changed. What year was that changed?
2012.
2012. So, which means from 2012, it's now 20 years rule. You have to prove that you've been in this country for over 20 years, but you don't automatically get indefinite leave to remain. You get limited leave to remain for 2 years.
2.5 years. 2.5
years.
Multiplied by 4.
And you have to apply 4 times. Yes. So you're paying over 1,000 plus 4 times.
Yes. And the case is for every single year. I mean, and again, I come back to what I was stating earlier, how draconian and how insensitive the Home Office is when it comes to immigrants. I remember in 2004, I did an indefinite leave. Well, in those days, an indefinite leave to remain application. Initially, people never used to pay anything for making applications, but they introduced fees in 2002 or 3 or so.
Yeah.
In 2004, an indefinite leave to remain application was only, the Home Office fee was only about 395.
Okay.
Now, people were complaining big time that why should we be paying this kind of fee to make an application for indefinite leave to remain? For every single year since 2004 onwards,
it's gone up.
It goes up by minimum of 250, 300 pounds. And this has been going on from 2004, 2005, up until date. And for every year, the Home Office makes sure that they increase that fee by 250, 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, we are talking about people who are not working.
Yeah.
People who would not be able to, at least many people will not even be able to raise this money.
Yeah.
A situation where now, if you are to make an application for indefinite leave to remain right now, compared to about 2004, 2007,
yeah.
when it was about 495 pounds,
yeah.
it's roughly more. It's more than about 200. It's about 2,400 pounds now for just one single application.
2,400.
If you have 2 dependents,
yeah, you have to then pay for them the same price.
Yes. So
you're looking at over £10,000 if you have like 4 children.
And now, how would a woman who is struggling?
Yeah, because you're probably doing what's the word, minimum wage kind of job,
or not even working at all.
Yeah.
How would that woman be able to raise that kind of?
That's so unfair.
So that's insensitive. That's how insensitive the Home Office is when it comes to all this.
And we're saying it's not the same for our counterparts. So people in a part of the EU, they just pay £65.
£65.
Is there any way that
70? No, £60. It's still £65.
So is there any way that we can, do a campaign or?
Well, I think people have been campaigning, but people are not listening.
Okay.
But I think this Windrush issue right now, exposing so many things totally wrong with the Home Office, are morally indefensible, really. All what they've been doing. The fact that Windrush is now exposing all this, I think a big campaign should actually be put together. And make them understand the fact that you cannot continue to exploit immigrants.
No.
People who don't even have the money. Take for a good example you just gave, a woman who is going to be applying for indefinite leave to remain, who is going to be paying about 2,005, and you now got 3 or 4 kids. Where are you going to be raising that money?
It's ridiculous.
There was a lovely old lady I represented recently, right, who wanted to apply for indefinite leave to remain. Our children all over the world had to be raising the odd £500, the odd 1,000. She didn't have the money. An 82-year-old woman.
Wow, 82.
Yes.
Bless. Okay, let's bring Sheung in. Good morning, Sheung. So Sheung Omobo is a special advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Nigeria. So she's here to talk about. We won't drag into our debates in regards to immigration. We're going to champion what you're doing because Sheung is trying to ensure that we all somehow maybe have step back little by little to go back home and have an input or try to have an impact somehow in the change process. So you've launched an initiative that's called the economic diplomacy, and that is to enable people to do business with Nigeria, and especially Nigerians in the diaspora as well, to reconnect back. And if you're a professional, you can find a way to kind of be part of the system somehow by bringing your expertise. So rather than maybe go to Australia or go to Canada or go to China, they will look to people who are of Nigerian nationality to help be part of that change. I hope I've summed it up quite well. Okay, so let's hear your voice. So if you just tell us a bit about how did you get to be, a special advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs? That sounds like a really hefty role.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay. Maybe I should talk about NEDI first.
Okay, let's talk about NEDI.
So it's called the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative.
Yes.
And the aim of NEDI is to basically match local Nigerian businesses with international or foreign partners, foreign businesses all over the world.
Okay.
And you would say, why Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
Yeah.
First, we are the only institution, government or private, that has offices in 110 locations across the world.
Okay.
We have missions, in terms of missions, embassies, permanent missions, consulates. We have them in 110 locations across the world in 93 countries. And we thought that's huge infrastructure to leverage on, to the benefit of the country, especially now that we are just coming out of a recession, trying not to go back into a recession. And so it's our own contribution to the economic recovery and growth plan for the country. So we're just leveraging on low-hanging fruit. We wouldn't be employing new people nor building new offices. We already have those things. We just want to put them to work.
Okay.
So we have built a web platform, www.nedi, that's NEDI.gov.ng. on this platform, if you have a business in Nigeria, you can upload the details of your business as long as you're verified, you're registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, you pay your taxes, and you belong to a trade organization, you can register. And also, if you're a foreign business that wants to do business in Nigeria and you're not quite sure what company to approach, what partner to approach, you can just come on this platform, go through the sector, to the sector you're interested in, agriculture, mining, academia, whatever it is, healthcare, and look for a company that does what you want. So it's basically a one-stop shop for engaging with local Nigerian businesses and to cut off all forms of bureaucracy in trying to access Nigerian businesses. However, we also know that, so we call that part of the platform Nedi Business, but we also do know that there are a lot of Nigerians everywhere in the world, Nigerian professionals, a lot of them don't know how to really reconnect back home or how to even contribute. So all we are asking in Nedi Professionals is if you are a Nigerian professional and you live anywhere in the world, like the UK, just please upload the details of your, upload your CV, your resume onto the platform. And if an institution in Nigeria, either private sector or even government, is looking for someone with your skills and competences and they can find it locally, they can reach out to you through the platform.
Fantastic. So obviously there will be different sectors, like you said.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
And maybe something to note is that we've just only launched 2 weeks ago exactly. So we're just populating the database. The businesses have to populate themselves. The professionals have to also populate themselves. So it's pretty new, and we're asking, all Nigerians in the UK, Nigerian professionals, to upload their resume into those platforms.
Okay, but then on the business side, you don't have to be. Do you have to be a Nigerian company?
So it's both ways. Nigerian companies who want to do business across the world can come and upload their business profiles onto the platform. And foreign businesses as well who want to do business in Nigeria can also register on the platform and get matched with whatever company they want to do.
And is there a way that you will verify these people so that there's no time wasters?
Absolutely. So whatever company you find publicly listed on the platform has been verified by us. For the local businesses, they, as I said, must be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission for Nigeria. They must pay their taxes regularly, and they must belong to a trade organization, maybe the Manufacturers Association or the Chamber of Commerce. For the foreign businesses, we rely on the focal persons, economic attachés in the different countries. To do the verification for us to make sure the companies exist. So we've put in a lot of security checks, phone verifications, email verifications, to make sure that whatever business we have on that platform is genuine.
Fantastic. I love it. And you've been around for the Commonwealth event.
Yes.
I hope you're not too tired. It seems like there's a lot going on.
Actually, we had side events for the UK Nigerian Business Forum. Brought in at the London Stock Exchange actually, and brought in Nigerian businesses and UK businesses to sort of meet each other.
You opened the stock market.
Exactly, we also did that. So it's been an amazing series of meetings here and very fruitful. And also one thing to note is we're not working alone as Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We're working with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. So there's a lot of synergy in government right now to make sure that we're not working in silos.
Mr. Fadina, what are your thoughts?
It comes across as a very brilliant idea. They've always been there are thousands of Nigerians in the UK who have always wanted to do business back home. But there's always this concern that maybe, look, if I should come back to Nigeria right now to introduce ideas and to want to do business, what do I do? Who do I link up with in terms of being connected to? The issue of fraud. That if I'm going to be doing business in Nigeria, I mean there are so many people who have had some very horrid stories of coming to invest, and somebody promises you can come down and invest, and before the person knows what's going on, the so-called partner or potential partner in Nigeria has taken off with his or her money. So I mean, there are so many Nigerians who have been so skeptical because of maybe the experiences they've been through in the past. And saying, you know what, this is not for me anymore. But with your kind of platform, if it's credible enough, and you come across as the platform comes across as being proactive and indeed genuinely trying to encourage Nigerians to do business in Nigeria and to protect the interests of those people who want to actually come to do business in Nigeria. So long as it comes across as a very credible and genuine, forum or platform, I see no reason why Nigerians would not really want to. I see no reason why they would not want to make use of your services.
Absolutely, and this is also a completely free service.
Okay,
it's government's role trying to help Nigerians in the diaspora and also trying to help local businesses have international market access. So it's completely free. It's not. It's basically our own way of contributing to economic growth and also helping Nigerians in diaspora, which is a very critical mass, an important mass for the government to contribute and reconnect back home. And it doesn't even have to be business; it could be job opportunities. So companies could post job opportunities, and if you're interested, and you live abroad, you can come back home. It could be a long-term job. It could be a consulting to test the waters. But at least it's a place where you can find Nigerian. We have brilliant minds. Nigerian brilliant minds all around the world. In the NHS alone, I was told that the significant percentage of the doctors and nurses are Nigerians. We want them also to contribute to national growth.
I think it'll be great. And I heard somebody talking the other day in terms of real estate and infrastructure, because that's a place where there's a missing puzzle there, right? We were not really building infrastructure as well as we should do in Nigeria. So I'm hoping this initiative might push something, because if you have the great structures of great hospitals, then the doctors wouldn't necessarily be over here.
So basically what happens is when you have initiatives like this, it drives infrastructure growth. If there's an investor who wants to invest somewhere in Nigeria or partner with a local company and there are no roads, they will certainly build the roads in that area. So it actually drives infrastructure growth. And we also want Nigerian professionals in diaspora to come home to give us the new technology to advise government, to advise private sector in developing the different sectors, mining, healthcare, agriculture, especially at a time where Nigeria is looking to diversify into non-oil sources of revenue. So we really need everybody, and we think it's a nice platform, a one-stop shop where you can, find all you need as a Nigerian in diaspora.
I'm going to echo what Dio said, Mr. Fadina, in terms of how will you persuade people who are a little bit scared or skeptical in terms of, like, I've been there, done business, I'm still paying, I'm still in debt from something that's gone wrong. How can you reassure me that if I come back into this market, that I can trust who I'm going to work with?
So first of all, as I said, for you to have any company or any Nigerian professional on that platform, we've done our verifications. And second of all, the success will sell itself. By the time we have only just launched exactly 2 weeks ago, it was launched by the Vice President himself at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. And we had a lot of private sector people, chambers of commerce, binational chambers of commerce as well, UK, Nigeria, Nigeria, Pakistan, Nigeria, Malaysia, Nigeria, America. So by the time they start to see the success stories, everybody will want to be on the platform.
And what does that look like to you? What would be the success story in the next maybe 5 years, for example?
Well, let's not look too far.
I like that.
In the next 1 year, for example, we want to have significant numbers of local businesses matched with foreign businesses. Either they want to sell their products, in terms of improving export of Nigerian products and services to the rest of the world, or they're looking for investment to expand, or even technology. Want to have had a lot of that. And we also want to have had a lot of actual matching of Nigerian professionals with potential job opportunities, short-term, medium-term, long-term. And we'll have these testimonials. We'll use the media appropriately to let people know of this free, wonderful service by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is actually an idea of the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Nyama, who has worked very hard over the last 1 year to put this infrastructure together and also to institutionalize it in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that no matter what happens, change of government or whatever, the program
still stays. Okay. I like that. That sounds good.
Yes.
You want to say something?
Yeah, just something, yeah.
Okay.
The eminence grace, the power behind what you've just talked about is Professor Oshibajo.
Yes.
Is he the vice president? Is he the power behind this particular initiative? Or do we have other people who...
So it's an initiative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
NEDI is an initiative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. However, the vice president is the head of the economic team for the country. Okay. And since this is a contribution to the economic recovery and growth plan, and as you know, Nigeria as a country, we're also trying to improve our ease of doing business rating. So this is also this also complements the ease of doing, and as you know, we moved up about 24 points in the World Bank ease of doing business rating in the last few months. Our goal was to move up 20 points, but we moved up 24 points. So we're not there yet, but we're moving forward. And so we had invited the president, the vice president, as the head of the economic team for the country to chair and to launch the event. But it's an initiative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay, fantastic, Mr. Dyer. What's the one thing you can say about Nigeria or Africa as a whole that you champion?
That I would champion right now. I would want to actually look into the possibility of encouraging, take for instance, companies back home or individuals back home, encouraging them to expand their way of actually doing business, coming to the UK, for instance, to invest, to do business, and even taking advantage of the situation to do with Brexit right now in the UK, because the moment the UK opts out of the EU, the UK is looking for business partners all over the world. And people could actually come into the UK now if you got the right investment, if you got the right resources, to invest in the UK and to even use that very particular avenue as a way of applying for leave to remain here because you're doing business here, you're paying tax here. Likewise, there are going to be, if you have that kind of company here, the advantage you are bringing to the UK economy and the experience that you're going to be getting from that UK economy by doing business or investing, that money, because you're coming from a company from Nigeria, you are still you are still a kind of affiliate of that company that you represent in Nigeria. So I that's one thing I have in mind, really, to do with encouraging people to actually invest there, to then take that money back to Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Or even Africa.
Absolutely, you're right.
Sounds good. But what is the one thing you say you love about Nigeria as a whole?
I have problems with Nigeria sometimes.
Okay, but we want to know what you love.
What I do love about Nigeria is our flair, our independence. You mentioned it, to do with the professionals. We are very
entrepreneurial, aren't we?
Very entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneur, thank you.
And the flair, what ideas. We got very, very good ideas that we could actually expand on and be proactive about. The country is still a developing country, and again, coming back to what you were saying, any developing country, particularly with the kind of population we have in Nigeria and the resources we have in Nigeria, right? We are still developing. There would always be possibilities and opportunities because here the place is still developing. So depending on what you could actually put together, in terms of a very good business idea, it would work in Nigeria if there's that right environment. Your platform, hopefully, would encourage people like me to want to actually do more business and share so many more ideas in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Fantastic, like that. I just have to say I wasn't happy with what our president said, although I didn't see everything as a whole. But yeah, I think Nigerians youth.
The youth situation.
Yeah, but. Well, maybe we'll discuss that another time.
Well, I think we should mention it actually.
Yeah.
Just quickly.
We literally have like 2 minutes to the end of the show.
Honestly, yeah.
So maybe let's say 30 seconds if you sum it up, and then maybe
President Buhari. Yes, we know you are doing your best for the country, but you cannot defame, diminish the youngsters of Nigeria. The situation we are today, right, particularly the youngsters, right, it started going back about 35 years ago.
Yeah.
The president's ilk, they've always been in power. They did not invest in the youths in Nigeria.
I'm going to stop you there. And Anisha, I'm going to give you a chance because literally I have 1 minute to go.
Okay. So I'll just respond to that very quickly.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding about what the president said. It's just been a misunderstanding, basically. The president's actually a fan of young people. I am young, as you can see, and I'm in government, and we've been given opportunities to run programs like this.
So what do they mean?
But people don't see the success stories sometimes, and I think maybe our problem is we don't really amplify what the positive things, and we need Nigerians in the diaspora actually to do more of that, to speak well of the country, and and that's one of the things I love about Nigeria. You were asking, what do we love about Nigeria? The resilience in the people.
Yeah.
There is hope for the country, and then maybe my last call to action will be, if you're a Nigerian professional, you live anywhere in the world, especially for those in the UK, please put up your resume on www.nedi.gov.ng.
Fantastic. So we're coming up to the end of the show. It's been a very kind of, I don't know how I describe today's show, very informative, lots of emotions, not sure how to express them. And I hope that those are going through the situation of the Windrush do get the best legal care that they can and a fair treatment. Hopefully we'll hear good news about it. And thank you, Sharon, for coming in and I guess championing Nigeria. Let's see a different positive side. And I wish you all the best with the new initiative. And we try and champion that. You've been listening to The Discourse with me, Esther Alade, and I'm here every Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Take care. Have a lovely day.
Manager Arsene Wenger is to step down at the end of the season.